Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and this is my review of the new episode of Lower Decks called Mining the Mind's Mines, which is a funny title. It reminds me of all kinds of titles in the old shows. But the episode itself was kind of below average in my opinion, nothing really that interesting or funny. There were some good moments, but most of the episode was just kind of okay. It wasn't really that good. And the B plot about Tandy trying to become a science officer wasn't really that interesting. And the chicken guy, who is the psychologist on the ship or something, is not really that funny or interesting character, so I don't really like that. It's kind of too silly and also not funny, and so it's not worth it in my opinion. And the main plot about going down to the planet was kind of funny because it pokes fun at those kinds of episodes from the old Star Trek shows, something that influences the crew's minds. And so in this episode they find these orbs which make your fantasies come true, but if you're tempted by them, then they turn you into stone statues for some reason, and so they have to resist it. And there were some references to previous shows. That flying creature is straight out of the old animated Star Trek show. And we also see Leah Brahms, who is the fantasy of Rappaport, so just as she was the fantasy of Geordie LaForge. So Rappaport is also fantasizing about her apparently, and it's mostly implied it's because of her mind, that because she invented the recent warp theories or something, and she's such a great scientist, that's why he finds her so hot. And she looks exactly the same as she was in her first appearance in TNG, and she's voiced by the same actress, which is great that they brought her back for this. So this was one of the highlights of the episode, even though it's basically a member berry, but at least it's done well. And we also see some of their other fantasies, like Boimler's fantasy is that some admiral wants to recruit him to help fight the Borg and to promote him to captain right away and all of that, and he almost gets tempted by that. And at some point they accidentally break those orbs, and then it creates all their worst nightmares, and so we see a bunch of creatures like a snake who seems to have been assimilated by the Borg, and we also see some Klingon clowns with bathlets instead of hands. And then they go and hide in a cave, and they block the cave with the phasers, and they use a phaser to heat up the rock to stay warm, which is exactly out of TNG. I think there were several episodes in which they did that exact thing. And also, as always, the comm won't work in the cave because the rocks on the planet always blocks the communications so that the ship cannot easily save them. And so that's something that always kind of happened in the old shows, and so they're kind of poking fun at that, which I'm fine with. And I love the fact that they are paying attention to the details, that everything looks exactly as in those old shows, and so at least it's done well. It's obviously making fun of the old shows. I wouldn't say it's mocking them because it's obviously done with love, because I can see the attention to detail, I can see all the little nuances, the little references that only true fans would have been able to come up with and understand how to do it, and so I see that it's done with love, and so I'm not annoyed by that. As I saw some people in the comments say they feel it's mocking the old shows, I say it's a parody in good fun and with love, and so I don't feel any animosity toward the old shows. I think it's still more faithful to the old shows than all the other recent Star Trek shows, which just don't get the old shows or why they were good or fun. So that's why I'm fine with this kind of humor. I do wish they would finally do some new stories, that they would invent stories of their own and do something fresh and new. I would prefer it. But I also don't hate what they're doing. I do enjoy it. There were some funny moments in a lot of these episodes. And one other thing I find funny in this show is how many bald characters there are with a similar haircut like Picard, with the hair in the sides, like male pattern baldness. And so I find it funny because it kind of explains that Picard's appearance was normal in this time period because it's kind of fashionable to have natural looking male pattern baldness in this time period. So it explains Picard's look not being unique. And there's always the question, how come they haven't invented the cure for baldness in the future? And so an easy explanation is that there is a cure, but some people simply prefer the natural look because it's fashionable in this time period. And we see a whole bunch of people with male pattern baldness in this show, which I find funny also because the creator of the show, Mike McMahon, is also balding, so maybe it's kind of a subtle attempt to say it's a normal look in the future, and so I kind of like that. It's in the spirit of the old Star Trek shows, in my opinion, which is all about not judging people by their appearance and all of that. And so I love that little detail that there are so many male pattern baldy guys running around in the show. So that's all I had to say about it for today. Let me know what you think, and we can discuss all of this in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.